Welcome. This is Claudia Pasmani, Executive Director of the Amherst Area Chamber of Commerce, and I am here to welcome you to our Fireside Chat series. And it is our intention to share stories of our business owners with you in the comfort of your own home, your business, your office, whatever makes you most comfortable at a time that's been really challenging and difficult. To highlight the stories of our businesses. And with us today, he's working on some technology here. We have with us Sean Cleary, who is the owner and CEO of Amherst Copy and Design Works. There he is. And he is live from his new office location, which is still was part of his original business. And we'll talk more about that. But he is part of Amherst Copy and Design Works, which was downtown Amherst for nearly 35 years. Sean is in his nearly 10th year of operating Amherst Copy and Design, but not unlike many businesses in our community, has gone through some major challenges and pivots during this time. So, Sean, welcome. Firstly, I want you to say hi. Thank you for joining us. And I also want to just acknowledge that Sean has been a very active member of our board and has been in our finance committee and has been an incredibly devoted and committed board member here at the chamber. So I just, full disclosure, he's been a terrific partner. So I'm thrilled to have Sean here today to talk about, really to introduce us to his business and his new business model and to share a little bit about who he is and what he does. So yeah, let's just start with who you are and what you do at Amherst Copy and Design Works. And give us your pitch. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Great. Yeah. Thanks, Claudia. I really appreciate this opportunity. And I do love the chamber, and I'm looking forward to telling people a little bit more about that during this chat. So Amherst Copy and Design Works, as Claudia said, we've been in business for 35 years, most of which has been in downtown Amherst until November 1st, when we moved the shop to Hadley on Railroad Street, which is right off the rail trail, right near where Routes 9 and 47 cross. And then, there was a bunch of different reasons that went into the move, why we moved. Not all. What I'm trying to say is there's been some hardship as a result of COVID, and that's a major factor in why we chose to leave downtown Amherst. We were renting the space there. Mm-hmm. We own the building here in Hadley, and we've operated our sign shop out of this building for the past 5 years. So, when the pandemic hit, it was very clear to me, I don't know how I knew this, I just did, that our sales would be very significantly impacted. Mm-hmm. Not to the extent of some of the other businesses, and that's one of the beauties of being a chamber member is that you talk to the other business owners and find out, how they're doing. Right. And what's clear to me is, like the hoteliers and the restaurants are the ones who in our chamber are suffering the most. Mm-hmm. But my business has been hurt too. So that was a big factor in the decision to move. But I think, and that was a negative and for sure a bummer, but there were lots and lots of positives for us. Not the least of which was that we'd have 100% of our operations under the same roof for the first time in the last 5 years. And in the little over a month that we've been here, that has just been incredible. And the other positive that we didn't expect, we had a lot of fear around this, was what our customers going to follow us. And we just didn't know, many people are fond of downtown Amherst. And while the jury still is out on that question, what we're already seeing is that our customers are perfectly fine for the most part with coming down to Hadley and seeing us here. And we're already starting to see new customers who didn't know about us or come to Amherst Center to see us. So I'm sure there will be those that, for their own reasons choose to not come down and not follow us. But what we're finding so far is that fear was mostly unfounded. People are following us. They know us. A lot of our customers have one-on-one relationships with different members of my staff and sometimes with me. And, it's personalized service is what they get from us. So to just talk about the company a little bit, we print on paper and we make signs, and that's as simply as I can put it. What we're a value added company. We bring expertise to your project. So we make just a laundry list of different paper and sign projects. We can print your postcards.
I'm going to cut you off right here because I think that, you are a printer and a paper. You do everything under the sun, but it is also about relationships. We have an incredible relationship with, I know, a few folks that work with you. We do ask, they know us by name. We know them by name, and that does feel really good. That's why working local really makes a huge difference. And we do rely on your expertise when we say, okay, we're thinking about this design, or, and you've also been incredible when it comes to cost efficiency, understanding that we all come with a limited budget, and, you want to maximize your profit as well. But at the end of the day, it's also about maximizing the customer's satisfaction. And we feel that because we come to you a lot and say, okay, we need this tomorrow. We have a crazy timeline. We have demands, and we want some design expertise. We have had from our business cards to our signage, to our golf signage, printed with you all, to our store decal right up on our front window here. So there's quite a bit that you have the capacity to do. And I know we're going to get a video from you to show us a little bit about your capacity, but tell us what the operations now entail in the new space and what that's afforded you, because you're not just, I can order 20 color copies from you and business cards, but also what else can I order from you? And also how has this made you maybe a little bit more efficient?
Yeah. So thanks, Claudia. I mean, what we bring to the table is our expertise and our knowledge. We have a vast knowledge about how to make your job come out right. And I like to think that we're good at communicating with you and, really finding out, okay, this is what they're trying to do. How do we get to that? How do we just take the problems out of that and make that happen for them? And so what we've done, the way we've built the business is, one of the key people that we have is our graphic designer, right? And during better times, as recently as March, we had 2 full-time graphic designers, and that's been our model for the last few years. But with the pandemic and the downturn, one of the things we had to do was go to one designer, and I hope that's a short-lived kind of thing. But so we have this vast, really, we know a lot about how to print your job, how to get it to come out right. We know all the right questions to ask you. A lot of our customers, they don't have the same amount of knowledge. They're putting on an event. They're in charge of getting the office printing done. They need some signs. They don't speak our language, so we try to speak your language and just ask you the questions as simply as possible, show you samples of other people's jobs so you can say, okay, yeah, that's what I'm looking for right there. That's what I need. And then along with that, a lot of people these days fancy that they're designers, like a lot of people like to do their own work on the computer, and it's fantastic, but there's 2 drawbacks with that. The first of which is that just because you made it on the computer doesn't mean it's going to translate well to paper. There's a lot of technical and, pretty complicated issues that come up when you try to go from the computer screen onto paper. And we can solve all those for you, make it easy, probably take away a roadblock you may not even know was there, but it truly is there. Secondly, a lot of people are designers and they like designing, but maybe they don't feel like they just got exactly what they want. Like they don't really know how to kind of bring it to its end point. So we can help them with that as well. And just, a little touch here, a little touch there, so that, they're like, oh yeah, that's it. We just hit it. That's what I was looking for. And, then we can go to print on it for them.
That's great. That's great. I added our logo in the background because I also know that, like you do our letterhead, you've done everything from, and we just had a whole new logo developed. And do you guys do logo design? What other design work do you do as well?
We do. We design from scratch in some instances. I mean, for instance, we just did like a 16-page full color newsletter for an academic customer from scratch, just the whole thing, start to finish. But a lot of what we do, so logos are a great example. Like, people will be working on their logos, and if they're like me, the best they can do is kind of scratch it out on a piece of paper with like a pencil or something. Like, I have zero artistic ability, but I often can articulate kind of the feel or the look I'm trying to get. Then we have other people who kind of have the exact opposite problem, which is they can kind of design it on their own. But like I said, sometimes they're just not satisfied with the result that they're getting on their own. Yeah. So, everybody in between there comes in as well. And so, we'll help them finish it off. We'll do it from scratch. It's really, we just tailor it to what you're asking us to do. It's like, okay, what do you got and where do you want to go? And, we figure that out.
Right. Right. So how long have you been in this new location?
Literally 6 weeks, right? We just got in here. I mean, it's really been a really challenging time for me because we had to really do a significant amount of building out in this space to accommodate all of our equipment. All of that equipment has very specific power needs, and so that we had to do, a large amount of electrical work. And then the building really it was built in the 80s, interestingly enough, right around when Amherst Copy became into existence. So it didn't really, even a building built in 1982, I think it was, really didn't have all the fire requirements for exit lighting and directional stuff. So it turned out there was a lot of work to do to make the building comply, so that we could have the public here.
Right.
And so that went on for many, many, many months. And that whole time we're like still paying rent in Amherst, and the landlord there was incredibly generous and great with us and said, look, you guys can leave, and
Which is not always the case.
Not always the case with commercial landlords. So they were fantastic to us.
So great.
And, and then we kept delaying, we needed more time. And, obviously that was trying for them to keep hearing that because they had someone who was going to come into the space. And so it really kind of just came to like this big crescendo, and over a 4-day period, we moved all of our equipment down here, and then we had to get it set up. And, we're still moving in, we still got a lot of boxes to go through. And it's been
some of the exciting part, right? Some of the exciting part, but I also want to share too. I mean, I think in terms of small business owner, a lot of this has been hands-on. I showed up at your new space. You had, you were painting and sealing, and, I mean, you have been doing any odd job required to make this, shift happen. Could you share a little bit about, what's happened with your employees over the course of, COVID, in terms of, how much have you been, because you've been an employer for a long time, right? A great employer. You've had employees stay with you for a long time as well.
Yes. I've been really blessed.
Yeah. So just tell me a little bit about, if you want to share a little bit about that, and also, what it's taken as a small business owner, because you've really, I think it's really important to share that you're not just a face of, you're it. It's tag, you're it. So. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Claudia. Yeah, that really kind of brings up some feelings for me. That was March 13th, right? March 13th of this year. It was sort of like the world kind of stopped. And
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but it was sort of during that week, I'm like, oh no, this is friggin' serious. I mean, this thing's coming at us like a freight train. And so we were in the midst of training 2 new people. We had a new graphic designer and a new sign shop person. And, what I did is I just called everybody together and we sat down. And I mean, it was one of the most difficult meetings I've had as a business owner. And before this business, I had employees working for me in my last business. So I've had employees, for a long time. Never had to do anything like, lay off, people and then cut everybody else's hours. I cut my own pay. I certainly didn't cut my own hours, like I just had to start doing the work that other people were doing. So, we were fortunate enough, we got PPP money and I immediately brought everybody back. But we were so lucky to get the initial funding, but it was just, everything was just a mess. And they said, you have to use the money up, but we didn't have any work really for anybody to do in March and into April, but we put them all to work anyway.
Right.
And we used that money under the 8-week scheme of the PPP, and I realized there's a lot of people who didn't even get PPP funding. And so we were blessed to have it, but it was a quick hit, if you will. It gave us 2 weeks of full staff. And then when that money ran out, as it was intended to, I didn't have any work for the people after that, so the 2 people I had laid off in March got laid back off. And we've, really gotten by on the very much reduced hours, I mean, one of our big customers are academic, right? I mean, it's
here we are, university, right?
Who else are you going to serve, right?
Right. Let's talk about that. You're as a university, as a college town, which we're commonly referred to as, but it's because it's, this is one of the largest economic drivers in our community. So,
yes.
And you are certainly one of those businesses that is impacted directly by.
Yeah, we print, the spring is the peak of our year. It's when we just go flat out, because you would think, or a lot of people, I would have thought prior, it's like, oh, it's got to be back to school. That's the great time. Not for the printer. The best time for the printer is graduation season, because there's programs and there's certificates and there's these invitations and just there's a million extra things that come in on top of the work that you're otherwise doing. So that's right when the COVID hit, and in April and May, I mean, we just got utterly crushed. And I kind of could see that. So I just said to my landlord, look, this isn't going to be a good thing for me, and it's not going to go away quick. So what do you think about us not staying? And he's like, well, let me think about it. Call you back on Monday.
I know it's also emotional,
blessing,
too. Yeah, I know it's also emotional too.
It was hard.
It's
Still
hard.
is. Yeah.
What would you say, if you're willing to share, what your percentage of business is down by?
I just met with my accountant. We are down 40% year to date. So, and through the beginning of March, this is I'll tell you something that I went through personally, which is that from the day I bought the business in the end of 2011, we've done nothing but grow the business, right? And everybody's like, oh, print is a bad business. It's going downhill. I'm sorry, it's not. If you've got a good customer service model and a fair price and you really work hard for people, you're going to grow. And that's what we did. Our sales had almost doubled in the 9 years, and then COVID hit and it just tanked, So
Wow.
I took it so personally, right? It's sort of like, what's it like? It's like somebody declares war on your country, and bombs start dropping. You know, that's not exactly what happened, but like the point is, it's like this external force that's so much bigger than you that you have no
Mhm.
control over. And
Right.
sorry, somebody's trying to call me here. Anyway, I got into this deep depression as a result of it. I had to lay
Yeah.
off people. My sales tanked. It just seemed like a really, really, really tough time, and I personalized it to me. So people help me to understand, and it's not understanding on an intelligence level. It's understanding on an emotional level. Dude, stop being so self-centered. This has nothing to do with you. This is like a tidal wave. And I finally
Um,
got that. It took like 2 months. I'm like, okay, this really doesn't have anything to do with me. And guess what? This business is way better off than many, might be worse off than some, but we're here. We're here.
Yeah.
We're still here. There's no concern that we're not going to be here. Um,
Mhm.
we've got a certain number of months where we're going to be okay, and I
Mhm.
think we're going to come out the other side of the pandemic. So
Yeah.
and not everybody can say that.
Right. I so appreciate your honesty and sharing because I think it's important for people to know. I mean, when we talk about shop local, support local, I think ad nauseum we say it, but we mean it. And when you say to us, "Oh my goodness, I'm feeling like I'm taking this personally," it is personal. Local business is personal. We know our owners, we know our workers. You are our neighbors, our friends, our colleagues. It is. You can't help but get it personal. Do you feel like how is your community of support? Like, where did you find the support in the community? I don't know if it was chamber, was it, next door neighbors, was it family? Like, what helped you as a business owner? I certainly would
Well,
love to know other business owners too.
I mean, this is really a point where the chamber membership was incredibly helpful to me. I mean, probably more than at any other time, because I can remember in early March, and this is how I could see it coming, other than through the news, was we had our staff meeting, our board meeting, and the people from the colleges got up and just gave us their overview of like, okay, this is what we see coming. And we've been looking at it for a couple of weeks, and we're talking to public health people and, other colleges, and like, we're sending them all home, and it's like,
Writing was on the
you could,
wall, right?
you could see the jaws just drop all the way around the room. And then, one of the hoteliers is like, our bookings are down like 80% and we don't know what we're going to do. And it's like, holy shit, I mean, that's how bad it was. And really college towns are impacted the most severely.
Mhm.
I think, that's what I've read in a bunch of different places. So getting that information early in the process and being able to talk to, people, business owners, that was incredibly valuable to me and useful and helpful for me as I had to make my decisions and, marshal, call my people in and talk to them, among other things that I was able to do. So, I was able to talk to my landlord, talk to my staff. I mean, those
Mhm.
were the most critical things for me at that time. And then as we've come along through, it's the same thing. You get this where because I'm on the board, I've been privy to this super useful information that helps me in my business.
I think we had a unique perspective. I think utilizing and maximizing our board meeting time, we had lots of time for sharing and really updating one another on what we were hearing and seeing and doing. And that camaraderie, being on committees, our committees did the same. And I feel like that has really helped some of those business owners directly impacted. So thank
Absolutely.
you for remaining as a leader on our board, because certainly as a chamber, this has been a most challenging time because we not only worry about staying afloat, right, because we're not eligible for PPP, but also being there for you, for all of our businesses, so that when we come out of this, we're going to throw the biggest party
Well,
we have seen nothing yet from this chamber until we come out of this today of all days, as we see the vaccine roll out. We know that that's 6 months away, but just to know that that's the what's possible. But I just want to thank you, and if you have any closing words, because I feel like this has just been such a test of the human spirit, and as you've really shared. So if there's anything else you'd like anyone to know about your business and about your work, and at the end of this, we're going to show a little bit video of your new space, and you'll see some highlighted products and featured products from what Amherst Copy and Design Works is all about. But what would you like to close with, Sean?
You know what I'd like to do, Claudia, is I'd just like to make a pitch for anybody who's listening, like, why join the chamber, and for me, it's always come down, like, I've thought about it at times, like, why do I join the chamber? And there's like 3 things that would get me to join the chamber, or that would work for me. The first one is just because the chamber does things that I'm too busy to do myself, but that are important to me, like that my interest is somehow represented. And honestly, the chamber doesn't always represent the world the way I want it to be represented, but I can accept that. It's like sometimes, economic development might be more important than, for instance, my store. Okay. But that's okay. It's like, all right, that's sort of the way it goes. So the chamber can advocate, I think is the right word, and, represent the business community's point of view, or points. I guess this is Amherst, so it's going to be points of view on things that matter to us, right? And who else is going to do that for you? I don't know anybody else who does that, any other group that does that. The second reason I think it'd be great to be a member of the chamber, and I'm trying to take more advantage of this myself, is if you want to get involved, if you want to do stuff, you have all sorts of opportunities. Just getting in with other business owners is good for business all by itself. So if your reason is that you just want to get more customers, or you want to have more contacts so that you can get more customers, joining the chamber is a great, easy way to do it. You show up at some events, you talk to people, you maybe get involved. That's just gonna help your business. When I used to be a lawyer, if I ever felt like I didn't have enough work in Amherst, I would just walk up the street. I'm like, I'm gonna buy lunch on the other end of town, and just walking uptown, I would inevitably run into somebody who would say, I need you to do something for me work-wise, right? Because Amherst is just that kind of a place, So getting involved in the chamber gives you that kind of an opportunity. And then thirdly, and it's similar to number 2, it's fun to participate and contribute and to get involved. So join a committee, get on the golf committee or the margarita. If you need something if you're looking for fun, get on the margarita committee. I mean, those folks just have a complete blast with that event. And you're feeling like you're, making a contribution because you are. And, it's for the chamber, so you're helping your own self with your involvement. It's a great group, and the dues are, I think, not expensive for what you get back. Even if you put nothing in, you're still getting that advocacy piece. So,
right. Well, you flipped the switch on us. Thank you so much, because we're here to highlight you. But as you have said, you have been an important part of the board. So the chamber has always been a big part of who you are and what you do. So thank you for that. And thank you for Sean Cleary at Amherst Copy and Design Works. What's your new address?
3 Railroad Street. We're right on the rail trail.
So you combine now Amherst Copy and Design Works and
Valley Sign Works.
Valley Sign Works. So they are 2 new businesses all wrapped up in one. Get your signage, get your cards printed, everything, anything you need, Amherst Copy and Design Works will do it. And they will do it with a smile, and they will work with you. Thank you, Sean, for working with us. So everyone, we're in your corner. And from that, thanks for joining us for this fireside chat. Until next time.